Hi, babes. Welcome back to the Chase Life with Kelly show. I'm your host, Kelly Chase. Today, we are going to talk about questions that make you uncomfortable when, like, in dating. Okay. So, what I mean by that, and not like weird questions. I polled my audience on Instagram and I asked you guys to send in some of those questions. But like I said, not like weird questions, but questions that make you like when someone asks you a question on a date and it makes you feel uncomfortable in the sense of like it's gonna make you be very vulnerable and feel like maybe you're gonna get judged. And so maybe you hold back from really speaking your truth or being honest with the person because you're like, what if this changes things? Like, I feel like I'm really liking this person, but what if my response isn't what they want to hear? What do I do? How do I answer those questions? So before I dive into that, I feel very called to say something about last week's episode. So I definitely like went on a tangent about a particular relationship that I just ended the gray area on. Yes, I know even in last week's episode, I was like, this person's probably always going to be a part of my life. And while that holds true, because I do think that, I mean, I think over time, you know, when we meet our people, just like when guy friends of mine that I like thought were like my ride or die brothers, for life kind of thing, like they have wives now, and I'm like, or girlfriends, and I'm like, we don't talk as much, we don't hang out as much or ever. So I know things will change over time, but I have a lot of love and respect for this person. And with that being said, I feel like how I approached things was not respectful to him. And it came more out of a place of pain. And I even explained this to him, but I definitely like reacted. Like I think everything was just so bottled up inside of me that I was just like, I'm done. Like, I'm done and I'm going to like talk about it and I'm going to be self expressed and I want to share with the world because I feel like I've just been like keeping this huge secret. Like, because that's technically what a situationship is. Like, yeah, your best friends know, not the world needs to know. I know no one here needs to know this, but this is kind of like my outlet. I love sharing parts of my life with you guys because I don't know, like someone tapped me on the shoulder one time, energetically, whatever, figuratively tapped me on the shoulder years ago. And I think was just like, you're meant to shine, like you're meant to be vulnerable, you're meant to be transparent, you're meant to be real, raw, and truthful to people so that they feel it gives them the permission to do the same and feel less alone in life. So maybe there's a part of me that's just, huh. Maybe there's a part of me that feels alone. Maybe that's it because it's making me emotional. Maybe there's a part of me that feels really alone in my journey. And someone that I thought, may want to spend time with me and may want to share a life with me in the future makes me feel alone too. Like I don't feel not alone when I'm with them. Not when I'm with them, but I mean, just like our whole situation, I still felt pockets of being alone because there was no commitment. Um, one of my really good friends, I think I just need to cry this one out, guys. um, One of my best friends just got engaged last night and I'm so happy for her. Like, and that is something similar is one of the questions. So I am so happy for her. She's been on the podcast, Jenny Jones. I love you so much. And I'm so happy for you. And witnessing her and her now fiance's love the last 2 years or year and a half. I just, it has always been like a constant reminder of like, Kelly, you're worth that too. Like these relationships that, I don't want to use the word perfect because that's not it. Like seem perfect, okay? Because there's just so much imperfection out there, okay? But like these relationships that I just love the way that they are. Taking cute pictures together, and of course they probably get in arguments and have confrontation. But I'm saying because that's normal, right? But I just want someone that is proud to show me off, is proud to take me around their friends. And not to say that this person wasn't, maybe we hadn't gotten there yet. I don't know. But I just, anyways, I feel like I reacted a lot. And I feel like I may have hurt the person's feelings because as I was sharing about this on publicly, as I was sharing this publicly, I was also telling him that I was done. So there was no conversation had before, I went public with this. And I did feel in the moment, I was just like, God, I feel so fucking right to like let this out and like get it off my goddamn chest. Excuse me. But it felt so good. But it was coming from that place of pain. And I'm telling you that because I want you to take an evaluation of maybe some parts, like some scenarios that maybe you're in right now, and maybe you need to let go of a relationship or something, and behaviors of yours are a result of your feelings and your emotions and what's actually going on inside of you. Versus it coming from heart space. And I know in that episode, I even said, I was like, I want to be encouraging. I want to like do things from heart space. But I have been like just emotional. And plus I started my period this week, but like I've been so like in my head because him and I haven't like had an actual conversation. It was just through text, and I did apologize already. And then like, whatever. I just feel, a bit guilty and a bit ashamed for the way that I handled it. And I'm trying to be with that and accept my choice, because at the end of the day, it's like you do this or this, and you need to be okay with whatever choice that you made. So I am trying to be okay with that because I know at the end of the day, it's going to be all fine. Like I was journaling. I was journaling this morning, and I wrote something like, why am I so in my head about this? Is it like, it's the fear. It's totally around fear. Like everything that we do is around fear, of course. But it was like, what did I say? Something like, why am I so in my head about this? Like, is it the fear of what will change, basically? And at the end of the day, and I literally just wrote out the letter, like, what? Like what changes, or what, like that's what I was about to say. But I wrote out the W, and then I just put ellipses because I didn't finish the thought, because it like stopped me in my tracks. That's the power of journaling, right? It could stop you in your track, and you have this like ultimate awareness. And I was just like, but that's exactly what I needed. I needed change. I needed it to change. I was like sitting there waiting for something different, for him to like tell me he loved me or something, like something, give me something different. Like, yes, like I said in the last episode, certain behaviors were different. I felt like I was being chosen in many ways. But I think us girls, we just need that fucking reassurance. Like you were the one that I am wanting to be, like that I want to be with. I want to be with you. There's no one else that I am interested in. Like we need to hear that. I feel like we need to hear that. And yeah, I know that that's a part of like being okay with yourself and everything too, and like that super deep inner healing love work and all that stuff, but we still fucking want that reassurance. And although yes, he has given me a sliver of that at times, I don't know. It's like I've been with you forever. Like, no, not forever. I've not been with you forever, but I don't know. I don't know. Anyways, I think I just needed to like talk that through and cry some of that out. So thank you for holding space for that. Oh God, relationships, right? But yeah, so anyways, I am sorry. if you were listening to this episode, I am very sorry for the way that I reacted. It was impulsive, and I am sorry about that. It's like, I look at things and I'm like, God, that's so good. Like, I want this over here. And I'm so goddamn fed up with the fact that it's not that. And I keep choosing it. So again, it's like I'm reacting from a place of pain because I kept allowing it to happen instead of just being like, months ago saying, you know what, this isn't serving me. No, that's not how this is going to work. If you want to be with me, that you can like totally court me and date me like every other Joe Schmo out there who is going to have to do that too. But we do what we do. We're comfortable with things. We get excited for someone to love us. See, my best friend and I were talking about that, and like we both were just like, we just want someone to love us. Just fucking love us, and I don't want to say like you got to look for that I don't want you to be looking for that external love and validation, because we have to do that within ourselves. And I do a lot of it, okay? But at the end of the day, we do want someone to love us. We just do. We do. We want someone to love us, all of us. That's what we're here for. Humanity. Like, we just want that, And then it like brings up another whole other thing that's going on in my life. And I'm like, it brings awareness to the healing moments. And I don't know, like, anyways, I just felt like there's some family stuff going on, and I feel like certain things in like what's going on are like helping me heal with that too, or helping me have awareness around that too. So everything works out, everything happens for a reason. But anyways, I just read a text and it like blew, whatever. Anyways, I have to have my phone next to me because I'm gonna like pull up those messages. This is like, I probably sound so ADD right now. Oh my God. Anyways, okay, so there we go. There's that. Again, I'm sorry about that if you were listening and watching this episode. Love you so much. Okay, let's get into the meat and potatoes of. Okay, guys, I'm sorry, I had to like stop the video and then come back, but thank you for letting me share and be extremely vulnerable in that. Obviously, it's weighing really heavy on me. But let's continue with everything. That's just grief, man. We just do interesting things when we're grieving, right? Okay, so the thing was, we were going to talk about the uncomfortable, like the questions that you're asked on dates that make you feel uncomfortable because they could be extremely vulnerable, in the sense of, if I say this, is it going to change things? Is it going to end the relationship? Is it going to make this guy not like me anymore? Is it going to make this guy like me more? And that's scary to me. So some of those questions, let's see. So one of them, how much do I pay? This woman was asked, how much do I pay for rent, car, etc., and how much money does she make? But then they got really uncomfortable because this woman is a very big powerhouse. I will say, speaking to that, I feel that is something that a lot of people fear. A lot of couples have a lot of money mindset. Conflict, basically. There's a lot of issues around that type of thing. But it's being so good in your foundation and like who you are, and knowing like with that person, like that you guys are going to grow together. You're going to continue to grow together. Obviously, is that's like on a, in your first date or something like that. First date, second date, how much do you make? Blah, 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 blah. Like, I honestly had someone ask me that 2 weekends ago. Was not even on a date. I just met a guy at a bar. And the guy asked me a lot of very personal questions, or very forward, he was just very direct, which I actually very much appreciated, considering how direct I am with you guys and how forward and vulnerable I am with you. He asked me, how, like, if I want a kid, like, do I want to get married someday? Do I want children someday? And he also asked me, like, how much would I want my husband, like, or no, he asked me first, would I want to be a stay-at-home mom? And I was like, yeah, honestly, I do want to be a stay-at-home mom, at least until my kids are a little bit older. I mean, if I can make money while they're, a baby, like that's great, but I don't want to be like working for someone doing all that. So then he asked me, how much would you need your husband to make in order for you to feel financially like safe and how, like, be able to live the life that you want? And I was like, what? I've never been asked that question before, ever in my entire life. And I honestly, I don't remember if I said exactly what was in my head, because I probably did downplay myself a little bit. But I either said 500,000 or I said 300,000. Or no, I think I thought in my head 500,000, at least 500,000, but out loud I said a few 100,000. But like in today's society, like honestly, shit costs so much, like, and then you add a baby and children and a family and a dog maybe and a house payment and all the things. It's like that shit adds up. So yeah, that's what I would want. But I thought that was a great question. But it was interesting how she said that, like how much, but then how uncomfortable it made them. Because yeah, like if someone is very well off financially and they go on a date with someone who is not, I've definitely been there before too. I definitely have been in that situation where I felt very small, I guess the word is. And I didn't love that feeling. Very inferior, very intimidated. Maybe not even intimidated, but like embarrassed that I wasn't. And I thought that they would judge me because I was not in a good financial place. So that's a great question. What's your number count? Like, how many people have you slept with? Okay, so I actually got a friend and I talked about this yesterday. That's kind of what prompted this episode. Not the first part, but this one. This part of the episode. But she was like, I could use your sound advice. What, like if a guy asks you how many people have you slept with, would you be totally honest with them? Like this is, I'm really liking this person. We've been talking for a little while now. We could really see this maybe going somewhere, but then again, maybe not. And I was like, honestly, despite, like I said, not even communicating how I was truly feeling to the guy that I was just seeing recently. Despite that, I'm going to give you that sound advice. If this speaks to you too, tell the truth, because the right person for you is never going to judge you for that. They've probably slept with a million people too. Like, or maybe they haven't, but they're not going to judge you for it because they understand. And the girl even like followed it up with that, she feels like she needs to justify herself. So she explains why she has slept with that many, with not that many people, but you know what I mean? Like for the count that she has, the number that she has, she justifies it as to why. And I said, you know what? I kind of do the same thing, but I don't feel like I'm doing it to justify myself. Like I'm not embarrassed by the number of people I've slept with. Because like I just know my journey and my story, and that I was like in a place like I lost myself for a handful of years. I mean, I lost myself like really badly. And I was looking for that external love and validation and seeking it, and extreme people pleaser. I mean, I just wanted someone to love me. Here we go, full circle moment. I just wanted someone to want to be with me, kind of thing. And I would prematurely sleep with them. So, and I say prematurely, like some people sleep on the first date and they're married for 20 years. Like who the fuck cares? But all that to say, you got to be honest. Just be honest. You will feel so much more at peace. Because what if you do wind up with this person and like 5 years later, it like circles back, and let's say you're like with all your friends and one of your girlfriends is like, oh my God, girl, you slept with like 35 people. And you're like, ugh. Oh, she's just kidding. She's exaggerating. She's just being goofy. Teresa over there. right? And I'm using a fake name, Teresa. It's the first name that came to mind. Um, but it will make you feel so weird. Stop. We have to stop lying to ourselves and to other people. We have to stop lying. And that's the biggest thing. That's also what I wrote in my journal this morning was like, I forgive myself. I forgive myself for not being truthful to him and to me. Like, that's not fair for either of us. And, I continue to learn lessons that I feel like are gifts that I receive because it just helps me grow. And I feel like it helps strengthen everything. Anyways, but I want you to think about that. And if you're like, oh my God, girl, no, there's no way that I could tell anyone how many people I have been with. I don't even want to know what their number. Like, there's a lot of girls that don't want to know what their number is, what the people that they sleep with, what their number is, or the people that they're dating, what their number is, because they're like, ew. I'm sorry, but I've always like, I don't care. Like, I love guy talk though. Like, I mean, some of my, like, I've always been like a guy's girl. I've always been a guy's girl. I love hanging out with the guys. I love hearing them talk about girls' problems and like just goofy guy conversations. So I love hearing that stuff. And I don't mind because I feel like there's a story there too. Um, I mean, I've had guys tell me like, yeah, I definitely have had my fair share of women. So I don't know. I just feel like it's better. Okay, let's see. Do you want? Okay, so next questions. I really liked these ones. Okay, so I never felt uncomfortable, but I always disclosed my divorce in the first few dates. I'm also scared that I won't like them more than they will like me. Why am I this way? Okay, I really like this response too, because I would be like that as well. I mean, again, y'all know me, but I think disclosing that information is extremely helpful for the relationship. I mean, if the guy's like, "Ooh, you've been married before," like, "Oh, like what happened?" I think that it actually encourages a really healthy conversation, or it should with the right people. I mean, I've gone on dates where guys will like I don't know, like we'll start talking about maybe my past relationships or even love is blind stuff. And they're so intrigued. They're extremely curious about that story and the journey and like what happened and why didn't it work out and what happened afterwards and all this stuff. And I don't mind talking to them about it because it's a part of my story. And I feel like those things, you went through a divorce. That's a part of your story. What the guy's gonna find out eventually that you got a divorce. Like, so why not just be upfront, open, and honest with them? Like, I don't mind telling people, you would think that, let me put it this way. You would think that by the amount of times that I feel like I have been burned by relationships where people are not committing to me, but I have like totally given them my life story, been extremely vulnerable about their like the extreme shadows of my life and the darkness in my life. And then them just walking away from the relationship, you would think that I would have some type of guard up to like not go so deep with people. But like, again, like I said earlier, I'm like, I think I've just been like energetically, figuratively tapped on the shoulder to be like, you're the one to do this. And so I believe that it's extremely helpful. Talk about these things. Tell them all your vulnerabilities within the first few dates. Like, who cares? I don't think that you're never going to be too much for the right person. They're going to be extremely curious. They want to get to know you more, get to know you better, all of that. So, and then I heard a second, I'm also scared that I won't like them more than they like me. That's okay. We don't have to like them as much as they like you. That's happened to me before too. And I was like, but I didn't like them back. I just was like, no, it just wasn't rolling for me. Okay. So this is what I was talking about. This question, when I said my, my best friend Jenny got engaged. When you see friends with babies, of course you're happy for them, but does it sting a bit? So that's like a guy sitting in front of me asking me, when we are on a date, when you see friends with babies, of course you're going to be happy for them, but like, does it sting a little bit? Yeah, it does. It does. Like, I want that. I'm going to be 40 next year. In 10 months, I'm going to be 40. No, 9. Oh my God. In 9 months, I'm going to be 40. Almost 9.5 months, I will be 40. Regardless, I feel that I get sometimes, yeah, I let the what is it, like, comparison, the thief of joy steal my thunder. And I'm like, fuck, man, like, ugh. And then I think about on things where I'm like, oh, but I've also been entertaining a situationship for, however many months. And I could have been going on dates with other people that were, wanting to be with me, wanting to choose me, wanting to commit with me. And I'm not saying that this guy didn't want me or wasn't choosing me in certain ways. There was a lot. It's a very loaded, complicated situation. But like I said, at the end of the day, it just wasn't what I was wanting, because I want this and it's not that yet. So I was getting impatient. I don't want to fucking keep waiting anymore. But anyway, so yeah, when I see babies, yeah, that's a great thing. It does sting a bit. And I think that you, like, listeners, I think that you should be very open and honest about that. Like, yeah, I am happy for them. You're right. But yeah, it does, because, well, and maybe it's like, yeah, I actually don't even want kids. So it's whatever. It kind of like, it's such a good, like, open-ended question that will get you thinking and get them thinking. And then maybe that is the question that you're gonna be like, well, yeah, but like, I'm so great for them, but I don't want kids. And then the guy's like, well, I do want kids. And then that's the end of that. you know, it's about like, what is it, like, sifting through, like, this isn't like, you go shopping, right? And you're like looking through, that's kind of what you're doing at us, like, when you're on dates, you're like sifting through the clothes, like at a TJ Maxx, right? You're like sifting through the clothes, like, don't want that, don't want that, don't want, oh, that looks kind of cute. Maybe I'll explore this a little bit more. I'll go try it on and see how it fits. Same thing with dating. Same thing with dating. You're asking the questions, you're sifting through, okay. Yeah, tell me more about that. Let's get a little bit more curious. I like that. Oh, nope. And you took it into the dressing room and you're like, doesn't fit. You put it back. You don't go buy it, right? Great analogy. So it's okay to respond with honesty and vulnerability and truth, and just be fucking truthful to yourself, because if not, you're only hurting yourself. You're only hurting yourself. Lesson learned. If you guys take anything away from the last 2 episodes, like, please freaking listen to that. Like, I'm sharing my, like, openness with you to encourage you to, like, look at things with a broader spectrum of an aerial view, and just be honest with yourself. Be so freaking honest with yourself. A couple of other questions. Where I see myself in 5 years. So if someone asks you, what's your 5-year plan on a first date, first or second date, what's your 5-year plan? People ask me that all the time. I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I guess I see myself like married with a kid or two. I would like to live in a house where there's grass. Like, there are certain things, but I'm not like extremely like, this is what I want. I just know that I want to have a life partner, and maybe I want to be traveling a little bit more, just leisurely. I want to have a kid, but like, maybe a talk show or a live podcast show, something, or I'm speaking on stages. I don't really know. I don't really know what that answer is. And maybe that could be unsettling to someone if they heard that. Or maybe they're like, yeah, our vision just doesn't align at all. I don't want to travel. I'm a homebody. I don't really care to go like support you in all your podcast stuff, or support you in being so public and forward facing and in the spotlight. Like, I don't like the spotlight. I want to be out of the spotlight. I think I told you guys that one time that a friend, or not a friend, a guy was like, I can't date you because you're so public. And I was like, well, I mean, I definitely would have conversations with people that I'm dating, but I don't ever want to feel like I'm dimming my light or dulling my sparkle. I want someone that wants to like rise up to meet me. They don't have to be in the spotlight all the time. And I know I was kind of alluding to that last week's episode, but that's not what I meant. I'm meaning, as long as they are supporting me in what I am doing, and they're maybe standing in the crowd cheering for me, but I want them there. I don't want them, babe, go do your thing. I'm going to sit home. Like, I still want them there with me so that I can bring them up on stage and be like, look, this is my number one cheerleader. Like, this is who supports all of this, and him. And I feel like everyone needs that. Everyone needs a cheerleader in their life. Oh, let's see. Next question. What are you looking for? So if someone asks, what are you looking for? And this girl was like, because I may already know it's not them. So when they ask me that question, I'm like, and it's probably like everything opposite of what that person is. Be honest, just be honest. Because I'm looking for this, and this. And then it's probably gonna make it a little awkward. You don't ever want to, like, your intuition knows, ladies. Your intuition knows. Your gut speaks very, very loud, and it just knows what you're looking for. Now, I will say this because, like, doing a lot of like relationship courses myself, it's like it's this or something better. Okay. Like, if you have a chokehold on exactly what you're wanting and you're looking to check off boxes, like, forget that list. It's all about exploring what could. Like, I feel like I've been on dates before and I'm like, I didn't even know I liked this, right? So it's exploring, being curious even about yourself. That's why about self-love and dating yourself is so important, because you have awareness. When you're dating yourself, you're learning what you like and what you don't like, and you are having more awareness of those things. So that's when it's faced with, like, you're faced with it with another human, you're like, you have more awareness to be like, yeah, this isn't it. Or like when you go on a bad date versus a good date, you go on the bad date and you're like, oh, don't want that. But when you go on this good date, you're like, wow, this was so good. I don't want anything ever. Like, I want something like this. The person, maybe we didn't align exactly the way that we both felt like this could have gone. So we know we're not supposed to be together forever, kind of thing. But the date itself was so great. Like, the conversations were good, everything was flowing. God, send me more of this. This is what I'm wanting. So, again, just be honest. Last question. Which party do you align with in the election? Politics, talking politics with someone. Okay. So for me, if someone were to ask me that, I would say, again, what? We're going to be honest with the person. We're going to be honest. Okay. Yeah. It's a very uncomfortable thing, especially if you're like, let's say you're like 5 dates deep and then they ask you this political, like, this question about politics. And you're like, oh shit. Now it's getting real, because now they want to know my political views or if I have any. And if we align in that regard. But God, I like him so much. What if I say the wrong thing? He's going to break up with me, like, or we're going to stop dating. Oh my God. You know what I was wondering too? I bet there's a lot of people that are actually married, and they've been married, for years, that, as they maybe work on themselves, our perspective changes, our perception changes, our views, our thoughts, our opinions, everything, beliefs even change over time. And I wonder how many people were like straight up like Democrats, like both, husband and wife were like Democrats, and then like one turned Republican and the other one was like, how can you be Republican? How can you think about this? Like, how can you be, or vice versa, and like what conflict that adds to a relationship, and or does it, if they completely, I mean, I don't think it should, if they are very respectful of each other's views. And they're like, that's the way you believe, this is the way I believe. But yeah, I do think that it could pose a problem. I mean, I said something on a date one time and it was an immediate hard no for the guy. Like, I said something, and I won't even tell you guys here, but I said something because I was open-minded to the idea of this, and he was just not. And I was like, oh shit. Like, because it was our second date, and it was something about like religion and spiritual stuff. And that's another thing, like religion. I mean, that was asked to me also last Saturday. Are you religious? Like, do you go to church? Blah, blah. And I was like, no, I'm more like spiritual. But anyways, I just feel like you have to be honest with you have to be honest with them, because that's being honest with yourself. And if you're not honest with yourself, then you're abandoning yourself. You are rejecting yourself. And then it's like the worst thing that you can do, because if you're, believer in God, spirit, higher power, all of that, it's like you are God. Like, you are connected to God. Like, so you're like abandoning and rejecting God. So like, we don't want to do that. Don't abandon yourself to please someone else, to make someone else like you, to make someone love you. Oh God, it's so heavy. It's so hard. It's so hard. It's so hard. Don't abandon yourself to make someone love you. Because the right person is going to love you no matter what. The right person is going to, even if you get in an argument, or even if you have different, you face challenges, you have different perspectives on things, at the end of the day, you want someone to make you feel safe. And, that is one thing I will say, that with the situationship that I was in, considering the person kind of kept coming back around, I feel like that's the only thing that I can say. Not to say it like made me feel safe. There was consistency there. But no, I feel like there was a part that made me feel safe, in the sense like I've done things in the past, and as he has too, to hurt each other, and we talk about it, we forgive each other, and like move on with life. And I think that that's a beautiful thing. And again, that situationship has so many layers, and it's so much deeper than all of that. Like, at the end of the day, I think it was just more like I was impatient and not being true to myself. And yeah. So I love those questions. I'm glad that you guys participated in my Instagram little question box, and thank you for sharing, because I think so many people do that. I mean, questions, let me see. Are you religious? Do you want to have children? Do you want to be a mom? What if have you been engaged before? Have you been married before? How much money do you make? What's your family life like? Are you close to a sibling? That's a real fucking hard one for me. For anyone who knows me very personally, it's very, but again, it's all about just being truthful. So if you learn anything from these episodes, it's about being very truthful to yourself, so that you can be truthful to others, and vice versa. Be honest with people, and it's okay. They weren't meant to be with you if they don't continue to choose you. And I think that's it. So I'm going to leave you with that. If you loved this episode, if you like the podcast overall, if you're on your like self-love healing journey, please download, follow, rate, review, leave a comment, go to my YouTube page, follow that. That's where I post all the videos for these episodes. You can watch them. You can see my facial expressions. You can watch me cry. But you can also connect with the guests that I've had on the show as well. And I would love to just grow this show, because I feel like, I don't know, I just feel like the world may need some of it. Or maybe just the world needs to see someone cry online and be a basket case sometimes about making decisions that she didn't feel great about. I mean, I feel good about my decision, but there are parts of it that I wish I had handled differently. Let's put it that way. But anyways, check out the show. It streams everywhere. And also check out Goddess Magic. That is linked in the show notes. That is my, it's my do-it-yourself program, basically, that helps you transform your relationship with love, success, and money. If I didn't have the information that I'm sharing in that course or in that program with you, if I hadn't learned that information, I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing today. I wouldn't have the awareness when I do certain things. And I want to say this too before I finish. I accept and I forgive myself. I read something recently, like the inner healing work. Sometimes a lot of it is to like change. It's to find out like what's wrong with you. And that was 2 years ago. I was like talking to my mentor, and she was like, it's like the personal development space, the inner healing stuff. It's like it a lot of people go like on this this like healing journey because they're like trying to fix themselves. Fuck the fixing, people. Fuck it. Because that's what I was doing. And I'm telling you that because that's what I was doing for so long. It was like I was constantly trying to find out like what was wrong with me so that I could fix something, so I could attract something. But love is unconditional, and someone is going to love you, for all of your like just shadows in your darkness. They're going to love you for that. And a part of me thinks this person does. Maybe that's why he keeps coming back. I don't know. I don't know. But I have to do a better job at that, of just loving and accepting myself. But that's it. I want you to love and accept yourself, accept the dark parts, accept the shadow parts, because those shadow parts, I wouldn't have cried today if I didn't recognize those shadow parts and give light to it. I told you in my journal, I stopped myself in a shadowy, dark moment where I was like, I just had fear of something changing. Well, fuck it. Yeah, it's gonna change, because that's the whole point. We wanted it to change. We wanted it. So maybe the way that I acted, the way that I handled it wasn't the best, but is it delivering the results that maybe I'm desiring? Maybe. Hopefully. So accept all parts of you. And it is hard and it is challenging, because you will want to fix, you will want to go heal those parts, because like I said, you're going to be like, oh, if I heal this part of me, then someone will love me. If I fix this part of me, then someone will like me better. No, do it for you, for one thing. Like, oh my God, this just makes me feel better. It makes me feel better having these tools, this knowledge, this awareness of, wow, I can use this shame over here to create this over here. That's a beautiful thing. That's using your pain for purpose. Anyways, check out Goddess Magic. Check out the YouTube show. Thank you so much for being here. I love you guys so much. Thank you for letting me just go on and on today and letting me be vulnerable. I hope you really like this. All right. Love you. Have a great week. Bye.